we're kind of in no man's land.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a prognosis anymore. And for a little while, that was something I struggled with, at least before we understood the natural history of the disease and we knew what we were in for. And it's interesting, and I know we'll probably talk about the consent process and the risks and how they were explained to us, but I do recall one of the risks that was outlined to me as we were going through this process is that, potentially her body could be preserved and her brain not. And so you could end up with a 50-year-old, with the cognitive capacity of what we have now. Is that something you're prepared to kind of live with? You need to listen to your clinician and hear the risks, and your hopes and expectations. You really need to be realistic. It's our natural position to be optimistic and hopeful. But these are experiments, and that's the one thing I can remember constantly when we had participated in the trial. The people around us, the family and friends who knew that we'd participated, the constant question, I got it from everybody, people who should have known better would say, so what happens now? And why is she doing that? Is that normal? Is that to be expected? And I would constantly say, well, there's nothing, this hasn't been done before. We don't know. There is no to be expected. The doctors can't tell us. Like, we're watching, and some of the things that we noticed in the first couple of weeks, I would report back to the doctors and they'd be like, no, that can't be right. That doesn't make sense. And then they'd be like, oh yeah, that's interesting. So it's going into the unknown, and it's not like you're receiving a protocol or a treatment, like my nephew I mentioned before, when he had leukemia. I mean, there was reams and reams of literature and they knew exactly what to expect. And yeah, this is a side effect of that particular point. We had no idea whatsoever. Yeah. So I guess it is temper your expectations, and remember that nobody knows. Nobody knows, is it normal or not? The other thing that was really helpful was documenting. I got into the habit of documenting sentences and things that she said, sleep patterns, changes physically, because the very small changes are of interest to the doctors, and there are things that in the day-to-day you could potentially, not notice or, overlook.
Yeah.
So documenting was really helpful. Yeah.